Hello, everybody. How are you all doing out there? I'm your host, Big T, right here with all of you today, and we're here for a very special episode number 300, 7-year anniversary of the channel, special show. And this is, episode number 300 of the Beyond the Ring with Big T Wrestling podcast. And I'm so honored and privileged to be here today with two very special people. We have with us Michelle Billington, who you all know, who's been here. This is your fifth time now. Welcome. And we also have Bronwyne Billington, the Dynamite Doll. Welcome.
Hi, thanks for having us.
How are you guys doing today?
We're doing pretty good.
It's a pleasure to have you.
Together,
Rock, paper, scissors.
So,
Hi, Todd. Thanks for having us on, and thanks for having me return and having the doll on for your big 300th.
Yes, congratulations.
This is a tremendous honor. Thank you so much. Let's see. What is I see one more thing that popped up on my screen. I don't know what it is. I see somebody named Legend. They just popped up.
We know the legend.
They're trying to join the stream here. It says add to stream. Should I add them?
Oh. Yes, please.
Oh, did I do that wrong? I was trying to send him the link so he could watch.
Oh, okay. This is the link to join on into the show. He's in the waiting room right now. Do you want me to let him in?
Oh, he doesn't want to be on the show. He wants to watch the show.
Okay. The link to watch the show is it's right up. Ron, if you go on your Facebook page, it's right up on top. The link is the picture.
Yes, Legend. It's on my Facebook wall. He tagged me in it. Sorry about that, guys.
That's okay. When I saw someone else pop in, I'm like, oh, is there an unexpected guest coming in? So
we're full of surprises.
We come with an entourage.
Yeah. Hey, that's no problem. I'm more than happy to have anybody and everybody here for this one. So we're here for a very special show, very special celebration. I couldn't think of two better guests to have, and let's get to telling some stories. I know Braun, actually, so I get this correct. I remember I sent to you, some talking points on what you'd like to talk about, and I know you mentioned to me that you'd like to talk about some stuff about growing up around the Hart house, and I know that would be some great talking points for everybody. So would both of you like to talk about that?
Sure. Yeah, being born and raised in Calgary, the Harts are still talked about and very well known around Calgary. So I was very privileged to be right in the mix of all that. Growing up every Sunday, we'd be there for Sunday dinners with all the cousins. And of course, there's a wrestling ring outside, the dungeon in the basement. Kids would be playing in the ring, and wrestlers downstairs in the dungeon. All the cousins playing and all that. So it was super cool.
And the adults loved it too, because as mothers, Stu had these giant leather couches with the buttons in it. And we put the two together and it'd be a giant playpen. And so Harry, I know Diana would be like slamming them in there, and the kids would be wrestling in there. And it was an instant playpen. It was great. And you never knew who was going to be up there. It could be Andre the Giant, or, Harley Race could be sitting there. Fun fact, he was, he and the Dynamite Kid, Tom Billington, were the only ones allowed to smoke in the house. And they actually, Stu would get a crystal ashtray for them. And of course, it all started with Harley Race, though. He was the only one that smoked until Tom came along. But yeah, it was kind of weird seeing people smoking in there. But those two did.
So they were able to get away with it.
Oh, well, Stu was so gracious, he and Helen, and he just made everybody feel comfortable. He had a big cooler out on the porch full of beer. He didn't drink beer. You could give Stu a beer and everybody would go up and shake it to see if there was any, because he'd act like he was drinking it. He'd put it to his lips and put it down, and we'd go check it, and then an hour later, and it was still full. Like he was just pretending that he was drinking because he didn't want anyone to feel put out at all.
Yeah, you know what I can picture Stu, just sitting there with the beer bottle, just sipping away. I can see it, I can see it right now.
Yeah, they weren't very big drinkers, so more into, of course, wrestling.
We already have a couple of people in here that I want to say hello to. We have Mr. Jeff. Hello.
Hi.
Hi, Mr. Jeff.
And we have Amaris Billington. And
hi, Maris.
she says, looking great, girls.
Thank you.
It's a pleasure to have you all in here. Welcome to the show.
Can I say hi to my granddaughter?
Oh, yes.
Hi, Taya.
Hi, Taya. My
Grandma,
little niece.
Grandma Billy's on the tube.
You know what? Fun fact. I think Michelle, you told me actually.
You guys have the same birthday.
Yeah, your granddaughter Taya and myself, we have the same birthday. I think that's very cool.
I noticed that when it was your birthday.
Yeah, it's nice. I'm thinking, about the Hart House again, Bronwyn.
Yeah.
When you were, young, growing up in the house, did you get in the ring with all like the big time wrestlers and kind of play around and have some fun? Like to pretend to knock out the big guys?
No, I don't think I was in with any of the big names or big guys except for the Harts themselves.
Teddy.
Yeah, like our cousins. Mainly it would be like the kids' turn. All the kids would be in there, and then they'd have a real training in there with the adults. So it was always like taking turns, but definitely seeing a lot of people and backstage at wrestling shows growing up. And
I do remember her in the ring at our Springbank house. We had 20 acres and we had this big Quonset, and inside was a ring that Stu had given to Tom. Mm-hmm. And, he was training people in there, and then the kids would go in there, the Bronwyn and my sister Julie's kids. She's married to Brett. And Bronwyn was always like, I'm Miss Elizabeth. I'm Miss Elizabeth. Even back then.
So, Bron, you never got to put your Uncle Brett in the sharpshooter, huh?
No.
Reason why I say that, I can picture Brett just kind of, playing around in the ring and like, oh, lock me in it,
Another fun fact, a lot of his moves, he worked out with my sister Julie.
Oh, really?
Yeah, he's like, what do you think about this one, Jules? And he'd get her in a hold or whatever so he could practice it. And yeah.
Wow, that's really cool. Bronwyn, I'd like to touch on this since it's the first time I'm having you on here. How did you originally get into the business itself? I mean, I know, to ask you the question, when did you fall in love with professional wrestling? I could imagine that was day one, but how did your venture of getting in the business come about?
So, do you know about the Victoria Pavilion in Calgary where Stampede Wrestling really started?
Yes.
Mm-hmm. So in 2013, there was going to be a wrestling show there. Hart Legacy Wrestling did a show. And so it was going to be a tribute show to all the legends from Stampede Wrestling. And they invited us to be on it. At the beginning of the show, they had everyone in the family walk around the ring, just kind of waving to the audience. And, this is Bad News Allen's family. This is Dynamite Kid's family, and so on and so on. And everyone was there. And that's how I first got involved. I'm like, okay, I can do that. It was me and my mom and my daughter, Miami, my older daughter. And then that show, I stood ringside for the Battle Royal. And after that show, I just fell in love with being backstage because I was just going to do that one show. And I met all the wrestlers and just loved the atmosphere. And it just felt really good. And it gave me something to do, something to dress up for. And I was like, yeah, I'm definitely coming back next month.
Now, did you actually, have you gotten in the ring and actually wrestled in some matches, or have you been like a manager?
Just a manager. So when I started, my daughter was already, how old was she? Maybe 8 at the time. So yeah, I started kind of late and thought this was just a good fit for me. I can dress up. I can be the doll. That's who I am every day anyways.
Do you have any plans to ever possibly get in the ring, or are you going to stay in a manager type role?
I'm going to stay in a manager type role. Yeah, it suits me.
You know what? I got to check out. Is there any videos on YouTube of like
There
of
should be.
of
There is.
Hard Legacy Wrestling with you playing in the in your managerial character?
I'm sure there is on YouTube. I know that there's some DVDs as well that Hard Legacy did, but more than that, I actually work for Real Canadian Wrestling, have for a long time. So yeah, check them out on YouTube, and they should have some videos.
What is your favorite moment that you ever had as far as managing so far? Like, what was your
I've had I had a few goals that I've achieved. So one was to work with Harry, my cousin, Harry Smith. And we did that in the UK. So that was super cool and really fun. And I was only managing for about a year or so at the time.
Mm-hmm.
And when I got to do that, I was like, this is awesome. I've already done one of my goals. Super cool.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah.
Michelle, and you're the ring announcer there at Hard Legacy, correct?
Yes, right at the moment there's nothing going on because of COVID. I know Bronwyne's organization, they have a show coming up in May, and I always go down there and support her. And I love the wrestling and I love the indie shows. It's just such a different world, right? Like watching it on screen or on TV is just so different than when you're actually there, hearing the grunts and feeling the vibration of the boards hitting, like it's just it's quite the experience.
Absolutely. And you know what else? It's like the indie shows have a little bit more of that how do you put it, like that intimate feel where you feel like you're closer to all the performers, all the wrestlers, and
you're a part of it. You're a part of it. It's so important. And when I'm there, when I'm a ring announcer, I'm so busy I don't get to enjoy the show. It's from the moment it stops till it ends, it's the announcer. But when I'm just there as a viewing audience, I get right into it. I scream and yelling at people to go eat a hot dog and hair a ref and then I always leave just relieved, there's a cathartic effect watching professional wrestling.
You know what? It's therapeutic. Because even with me, going through COVID the past 4 months now we're at, and one of my favorite things and when I'm most relaxed actually is when watching professional wrestling, or because unfortunately we can't go to any indie shows here either. Everything's shut down here as well, and it's been about 13 months since we had an indie show out here.
Oh wow. We were lucky we were having them until I think November was the last show. Well, there was a period at the beginning there wasn't some shows, and then they started up again and you were allowed just 100 people, masks and all that, spaced out chairs, and then since November there hasn't been
it's at Allegiant, so they could take people's names and if there's any incidents, but there was no transmission during those shows. So yeah, we're fingers crossed that it is going to open up. When is your show, Bronwyn?
I don't know the exact date. May 21st or something like that. It's the weekend before my birthday.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
And as far as when the shows open, is there going to have to be anything put in place? Because I've been hearing things, at least up here, in the States, that they might make it possible if you want to go to a show or even if you want to travel, that they're going to possibly make this rule where you have to be vaccinated. Have you heard anything like that?
I've heard of something like that with, was it concerts maybe? Okay. But I don't know about indie wrestling yet. We're not that far yet to know, but I guess we'll find out soon, maybe next month.
But they had shows after the second wave. Mm-hmm. They had shows.
Yeah,
Insane. People wear masks. They're actually sitting on chairs with a table in front of them because it's Allegiant. So you're not moving around, and
they put you in your own personal little bubble, your own space.
Yeah. It's actually quite lovely. I was like, this is great.
Yeah.
It sounds like a great setup. You know, we haven't experimented with anything like that up here, but I wish we would.
And our fans are incredible. Like I was like, oh, there's hardly any fans here because it's usually packed every night, every Friday. But those 100 fans, they sure made up for it. Like they really got everybody going.
Oh, I could imagine, because I know, like, up here when, you know, we pack 100 or 200 people in the indie shows up here, you wouldn't believe the reaction that just comes out of these places. It's amazing. Sometimes you get more reaction out of 100 to 200 people in an indie crowd than you do at 10 to 20,000, you know, at a big major show.
Exactly.
Because they're I guess it's, you know, your more hardcore fan base, so to speak, which, you know, I just randomly fell in love with it when I was like, oh boy. Anyway, I think anywhere between 8 and 9 years old, you know, and then I started watching, and then it got to a point by the time I was 10, I wasn't missing anything what had to do with wrestling.
So
It
who's
was
your favorite wrestler?
my favorite wrestler of all time, and has been since day one, believe it or not. Since, yeah, and now, Michelle, thank you for asking me that question, because you're actually bringing back my memory a little bit. It was 96 when I started watching wrestling, because I'll tell you what, my favorite of all time is Chris Jericho.
Yeah.
My favorite. I've been watching him since his career started in August of 96 in WCW, and I followed him from WCW on, and has always been my favorite. Like, my biggest mark out moment that I ever had as a kid was when I was 13 years old and Chris Jericho won the Undisputed Championship.
Yay.
And oh my God, it was great. It was great.
He's done so much for such a young man. He's been all over the world, and he's, you know, accomplished wherever he goes. And he's Canadian. Yes.
Yeah. He was from Winnipeg, Manitoba. Same place as Kenny Omega, actually, too.
That's right.
Yep.
She loves Kenny.
Kenny is great. I'm telling you, I think he's in the middle of the best run of his career right now.
Yeah.
So much great things are happening. And interestingly enough, talking about Chris Jericho, believe it or not, he's partly, like, halfway responsible for my name, my on-screen name.
Yeah.
Here on YouTube, because, well, I met him 3 times, you know, at 3 Fozzy concerts and whatnot, and we met the first time, you know, had a good experience, and then second and third time, he actually remembered me. I don't know how, and, you know, that's just quite the feeling when your childhood idol, you know, remembers you. And he would always call me Big Man. He's like, "Oh, hey, I remember you. How you doing, Big Man?" And, you know, and we do the handshake and the, what do they call it, the bro hug. You know, we do that. And actually, from him always calling me Big Man. And then I started coming up with the idea for this podcast, and I'm like, well, I can't be Big Man. I mean, unfortunately, I'm big because I still need to lose, you know, a few extra pounds and get rid of the spare tire down here. But so I'm big, but he came up with Big Man, and I'm like, I can't be Big Man. Then all of a sudden, my mom is like, why don't you take out man and just use T? You know, the first letter of your first name, Big T. So because of Chris Jericho and my mom, we have Big T sitting here.
Hey, well, we have a Big T steakhouse in Calgary.
Yeah.
You do?
Yeah.
Well, for your 300th Big T, I asked the doll to scrounge up a promo pic just for you. So she's, do you want to show it to him, sweetie?
Yeah, I'm going to mail this to you.
Oh, wow.
What's it say?
It says, to Big T, stay dynamite. Dynamite doll.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate that.
Your email or your address. Sorry, not email address. And I'll
send it to you. Yes, I appreciate that so much. Thank you.
You're welcome.
You know what? It's the first time that I've gotten a surprise on the air from one of my guests. I appreciate that.
Of course.
And for a big episode like this, it really means a lot. Well,
yeah, and we were so happy that you got through the COVID and that you're still doing all right. The COVID.
I'm doing okay. The only things that I still kind of have are pretty much, the same symptoms, the headaches, the trouble sleeping, the anxiety, and a little bit of brain fog, and the smell and taste is still
Oh,
it's
wow.
still off. But I started taking zinc. I mean, I figured I'm gonna try something else to go along with my vitamin D and see if it works. But thankfully, beyond the complications of getting over it, I've stayed healthy in the meantime.
That's good. Hey, did you get any questions for us from your fans?
Let's see. Right now, everybody, it seems to be listening in. Everybody came in just to say hello. I'll actually put the chats up right here. Let me know if you guys could see this.
Yeah.
There's Mr. Jeff. He said hello, and there's Amaris. And Mr. Jeff is complimenting you guys as well.
Oh, Chester.
Chester, how you doing, Chester?
He's the softest cat in the world. Spoilt rotten.
Amaris says, she says, hi, Grandma. So I guess Taya said hi back.
Hey, Taya. She's such a good girl. Hey, so Taya is actually really doing well with her flying bum drops. She's been jumping off her crib onto her bum on the floor since she was, 10 months old?
Yeah,
so yeah, she's perfecting it. She's going to leg drops now. Watch out, world.
Let's see. Well, we got a question, and Grunge Rock, I'm sorry, I don't think that that will be available. He's asking if one of you would like to go out on a date with him.
Oh, yeah, no, both taken. I'm engaged.
Yep, spoken.
Let's see, who else do we got? Oh, Amaris put another message back in. Amaris says, Ty is fearless. She was born dynamite.
That she is.
Now, talking about Dynamite. Speaking of Dynamite, let's see how. There we go. I'm trying to figure out how to get the chats off the screen. All right, I figured it out. But speaking of Dynamite, Bronwyn and Michelle, the Dynamite Kid. Obviously, Bronwyn, your father. Michelle, your husband.
Ex-husband, yeah.
Ex-husband. What was it like growing up being the daughter of the Dynamite Kid? What are some good stories you have with your father? And I know you also wanted to speak on reconnecting with him as well. So I'm sure you got some good stories there.
Yeah, so growing up, he was always on the road wrestling in Japan. Whenever he'd come home, he would always come bearing gifts. He'd often bring my mom and I like matching kimonos, Hello Kitty stuff. Like I swear I was the first kid in Canada to wear Hello Kitty. And so when he was home, we'd be at the Hart house or he'd be training friends. We had a ring at our house as well in the barn or out in our backyard, depending what house we were at. But so he'd be training his friends wrestling, and we had a little silver Corvette. Him and I would go for drives, just a 2-seater. So I remember going for drives with him, just him and I.
She says little silver Corvette, but it was a 1973 silver anniversary edition with mirrored T-tops. So yeah.
Is that not little?
No, they're very long. Like the front.
I remember being little.
The front was so long, and when I go to park it was just ridiculous. But and in those days, like you didn't have to have a car seat for the kids. I don't even think they were invented yet. But Bronwyn, we had a 180-pound dog, a bull mastiff. He had like a 32-inch neck, like his collar I would use for my punk rock outfits, like around my waist, hips, because it's so big. But Bronwyn and the dog would be rolling around in the back because there was no seat for Bronwyn or the dog. So they were just like You know, it's so dangerous, but I mean,
That's how you lived
people,
back then.
yeah, 70s and 80s, like smoking in front of the kids and driving with no car seat. It was wild times.
It's amazing how times
But
have
you
changed.
survived. You survived.
And I would never do that to my children these days. But
You
I
know,
remember being in kindergarten and people, maybe I talked about it. I must have, and they would call me a lucky duck that my dad was a wrestler.
Do you
Mhm.
remember the barbecue?
I'm not sure what you're talking about, but
When you're in kindergarten.
oh, you tell me after. And one kid said to me, "You're a lucky duck that your dad's a wrestler." And I went home to my mom and I said, "Do I really look like a duck?"
She's crying.
Like I didn't understand what that meant.
You know, it was after the barbecue though, because they had a family picnic, and her dad was in town, and he wasn't around for most of those things. You know, like they wrestled on holidays, like there was a big show on Boxing Day, and so. But luckily, he was there for this barbecue, and all the kids became a fan, and the parents, they're like, "Oh my God, the Dynamite Kid's at the barbecue." But that's when that kid said you were a lucky duck.
I have an interesting question here for Bronwyn that I actually just thought of right now off the fly that I think would be fun as well to speak on. Michelle, I know we talked about Owen Hart and his practical jokes, how he would joke around and have fun. Bronwyn, I'm curious, did Owen did he ever pull any jokes on you at any point, or did he ever pull a joke on somebody, when you were around that you really remember that you just found really funny?
Not so much me. No, I think that'd be more of a question for her because I'm sure she's experienced tons. We were just kids, right? So
Yeah.
Easy on the kids, maybe.
I'm trying to remember, Michelle, what the one was that he did, but oh my God, it was funny. I remember we laughed and laughed about
the one
that.
where Helen kept calling Stu. Well, Helen was going, Stu, and Stu was at her beck and call every second. Like that woman, like she had the false eyelashes for a special occasion, and there were 3 eyelashes. Stu would put them on. He had these big fingers, but he could do the most intricate things, like putting her 3 eyelashes on at a time. And he's the one who colored and did her hair all the time.
That's so sweet.
So I know. Oh. But anyway, and he'd make her toast and whatever in the morning. But she wanted him for something. I think she wanted her hair dyed or something. So she's like, Stu. And then Owen was down there. He's like, what? Stu, you said you'd do my hair, darling. And he's like, God damn it, woman. He said, in a minute. And then like, Stu, don't you talk to me like that. And she came running down. And Stu was just like, because Stu is also like deaf.
Mm-hmm.
So she didn't know this was all going on. And she came down and she hit him. She said, don't you ever talk to me like that again, darling. Like that again, darling. And Stu's like, that tiger, she gets feisty. We called her Tiger Balls.
Oh, Michelle, I love your Stu Hart impression.
No, she's very good.
She really does it good. It's a remarkable impression of Stu. Oh my God, it's great. Bronwyn, one thing that we talked that I wanted to touch on too with you is when you mentioned you wanted to talk about reconnecting with your father as well. Would you like to speak on that?
Yeah, so I had my daughter Miami in 2008.
Mm-hmm.
And by the time she was 2, I hadn't seen my dad for 15 years. I think it was 10 years we hadn't spoken. Is that right? Yeah. So it'd been 10 years since I talked to him, 15 years since I seen him. And after having Miami, and she's a little bit older now, like when I first had her, I felt full. I was like, oh, this is what I was missing in my life. Had my daughter. By the time she was 2, something felt like it was missing again. And becoming a parent, I realized I was missing my father, missing that part of me. And so I connected at that time. That was kind of when it first started. I reconnected with all my family, my cousins in England. So I made plans to go stay with my cousin Craig in England. And I was like planning to go see my dad, but I wasn't sure if I'd get the nerve to do it when I actually went out. So I was like, we'll just play it day by day. So I go stay with my cousin. The first night I was jet lagged and everything, and spent it with all like my uncles, cousins, aunt. And then the next day I'm like, yeah, I'm ready to do it. Take me to see my dad.
Well, your Uncle Mark took you.
No, my cousin Craig took me.
I thought Mark took you.
No, I think my Uncle Mark knew where my dad lived, like knew his address. So my cousin Craig drove me. And when we went, it was like a row of houses. He told me the wrong side. So the first house I went to, I was knocking on the door, like near having a panic attack. No one answered. So I went back to the car to my cousin and I just started crying. And he's like, he realized it was the wrong door. So I was like, I can't do that again, because I was like shaking and crying, and it's like, I can't go alone. So he came up, my cousin Craig came up with me, went to the proper door. He's really tall. He's like 6'5". So I was hiding behind him. I'm only 5'4", so he probably couldn't even see me. He knocked on the door, and my dad's wife, Dot, answered the door and saw Craig, who my dad hadn't seen for a couple of years. So she was like, oh, come in, come in. And then I kind of popped out behind my cousin, and I was like, hi, surprise. And Dot, I don't know how, but she knew who I was. Must have seen recent pictures. I'm not too sure. Or maybe I looked the same as when I was a child. So she was like, oh my God, come in, come in. And so I go into the living room, and my dad was in a wheelchair. First time I've ever seen him in a wheelchair, besides on the internet or pictures, or first time in real life I've seen him in a wheelchair. So come in, and I just start crying, and he was like, why are you crying? And I'm like, because I haven't seen you for 15 years. But he just acted like nothing, but was so happy to see me. So I just like stopped crying because I didn't want to be weak, I guess. And that trip, I went every day, and every day I'd stay a little longer. And eventually, like probably by the third day, like my cousin would just leave me. So it was just me and my dad. And towards the end of the trip, I only went for a week because my daughter was back home. So it was my first time leaving her. She was 2 years old. Towards the end of the trip, like the last 3 days, we would cry saying goodbye to each other. Like my dad was crying because he knew it was coming to an end. Like saying goodbye got harder each day. We knew it was, I was leaving soon. So after that trip, I started going. I went like 3 years in a row, twice a year, because the time together was just so valuable. And I stayed with him the next few times just to have more time together.
You can't put a price on that time. It's just so precious. And, the more life goes by, even for myself, I realize how precious it is, with my own family. And that time is really something that you can't put a price on. It's the most valuable thing.
Mm-hmm.
It really is.
And I didn't want to live with regret, and I knew that.
Mm-hmm.
And looking back now, like he's been passed away now 2 years, I am so thankful that I went and did that. And because of that, my heart is more full, and like I kind of got that closure.
And I'll tell you what, I saw, it was a video on YouTube I actually stumbled across. I think it was maybe, I don't know if it was a couple months ago, a few months ago, somewhere around there. I saw the tribute to Tom Billington for that Hart Legacy Wrestling did. And
Yes.
that was just a great video.
Yeah.
They put it together beautifully.
Is that the one, like we were in the ring?
Yes.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And you told the bell, the bell was tolling and everything.
I was 3 months pregnant then, when my dad passed away. I think I was almost 3 months pregnant. I hadn't announced I was pregnant yet.
Mm-hmm.
So having that baby inside me really kept me strong and just kept me going, because I knew I had to be strong and healthy for this baby. So it's kind of a blessing in disguise.
We got 2 babies that season.
Yes. My brother had his first child as well.
Oh, wow.
And so my baby, Harlow, is 6 hours younger than his son Maddox. So it was like my dad was there, and it was really special.
Wow, so on the same day.
They're
were born.
actually, so Maddox was born at, sorry, what? It's tattooed on me, 6:11 p.m. and then Carla was born after midnight. So
Wow.
they actually have their own birthdays.
She's always looking for a reason to tattoo herself.
What are some of your favorite tattoos?
Sorry?
Michelle, now that you brought it up, what are some of your...
My favorite one is her gem doll. I don't know if you remember the 80s gem cartoon, the gem dolls.
Yeah.
Anyway, she's got a gem on there.
Yeah.
That's my favorite.
Are there any?
She's got ponies.
My Little Pony. Yeah.
She's got Jake the Snakes for Uncle Jake.
No. I used to have a pet snake, so I got a snake tattoo. But...
What is your favorite, Bron?
I have a huge tiger on my thigh. Probably that. Yeah.
Do you have any new ones that you're...
Can't show you because I'm in pants, but a huge Japanese tiger. It's like my whole top of my leg.
Do you have any more that you're planning to get, or some that some designs that you like that you haven't gotten yet?
Tons.
So pretty much it's never enough.
Any excuse to get into tattoo.
I do have one of my dad that's down on my ankle. It's a little cartoon of my dad.
Oh yeah, show him that one.
I can't.
Yeah, you'd probably have to stand up on something.
You put your foot up, like you can put your foot up.
It's in my inner. I'll have to do like a pretzel. And...
I think everyone would love to see her be a pretzel. Go. We want her to be a pretzel, don't we?
We do. I'm sorry for encouraging your mom, Bron, when I had to do it. Angel says hello.
Hi, Angel.
And we have somebody's happy here. We have smiley face, and they got smiley faces and applauding. So somebody's really happy watching us.
Right on. Make your Saturday.
Great stuff. I had one thing I wanted to touch on, and it just came to my mind. I'm sorry if sometimes I'm a little foggy, but that's the
COVID.
That's the COVID brain fog that happens from time to time. If I kind of forget, it comes back to me. I've been dealing with that lately.
I have that too. It's just old age.
That's too for being a mom.
You know what? You know what? I'll tell you. It's been a real adjustment. I'm used to everything just being there on the spot, and it's kind of come back a little bit, but it's slow. It's slow.
Do you want to talk about wrestling?
Yes.
AEW or?
You know what? We'll talk about AEW right after this. I got one question lined up, and then we could touch on AEW. By the way, anybody that's in here, if you want to leave a question for Michelle and Bronwyne, make sure you do. I will ask it on here. So if you got any questions, bring them on in. Bronwyne, I know I talked to Michelle about this once before, about the Canadian Stampede in your house event. There was the big tag match and everything in the main event. At the end, the whole family, everybody was in the ring, after Team Hart won. And I believe, Michelle, you told me that you were not in the ring for that.
No, I wasn't.
We were in our seats, and then Brett later said, "Where were you guys?" And I'm like, "Well, no one told us we were supposed to be down there," because at that time Vince was starting to get upset because whenever the Harts, were on the show in Calgary, of course, their entourages, their families showed up. So he just especially backstage, he said, "No Harts backstage." So I think he only got about 40 that night backstage. But me and my 3 kids I'm like, well, I'm just going to respect that Vince doesn't want so many people back there. So I just went, I'm like, okay, I'll just go to our seats and we stayed there the whole night. But yeah, so I didn't know about it until it was done. It was over. But yeah, the kids should have been in there. And Brett always says that when he watches it. He's like, Dynamite's kids should have been in there. Made me feel good that he said that. So
Was it one of your fondest moments for both of you just watching, a show in professional wrestling? Was that one of your favorite moments that you've ever had?
well, we had a lot of favorite moments. So
you probably was Stampede.
Yeah, it was Stampede.
There was a house show in Calgary when Hart Dynasty was wrestling. So TJ, Harry, and Natty. I'm pretty sure it was a house show, so this wasn't on TV. So they won. I can't remember who they're wrestling. I have the worst memory. And then after, Brett came out too. So that was my favorite moment. It was amazing. Yeah. The crowd went crazy for the Harts.
It's awesome seeing the younger ones carrying on the family tradition.
And now that, Bron, when you brought up Natty, it made me think of this because, Michelle, we had a huge conversation the last time we talked about Natty wrestling in the first ever women's match in Saudi Arabia history at Crown Jewel. And I'll tell you, that is one of the biggest honors, for a woman, for Natty to win that match and be part of that match. And it makes me happy even still watching it back till today. Bronwyn, how did you feel witnessing that, seeing that historic moment and that Natty was a part of that?
Just super proud, and they couldn't have chose a better female wrestler to do it.
I agree. Yeah. I agree because you know what, Natty all around as a pure professional wrestler really is one of the best.
Yeah, I just love her. Just such a good person and amazing in the ring, but she's more than that. She just has such a big heart.
You know what? I've heard so many great stories about her, about how, she'll do anything she can for anybody. And even in the company, how she's so easy to work with. And it just sounds like she's an absolutely remarkable human being.
Yeah. She is.
She's 100% professional, and she just really legitimizes that women's division. So proud of her.
She really does. She brings a lot to it, and whenever she gets in a big angle, I just get so excited because I'm like, if there's one thing that I could say that I'd love to see, I want to see Natty hold that women's championship.
I know. I keep waiting for it again.
I mean, I think it's got to come at some point. She needs it one more time, just one more time.
Absolutely.
And you know what?
Mad watching now when she doesn't win because each big match or big angle, I'm like, she's gonna win it.
Yeah, I remember what was the what was it, a SummerSlam a couple of years ago? I know when she worked.
That's the one.
Yeah, she had a great match. I mean, so many great moments with Natty. There really is. Yeah. But when she was the manager for TJ and Harry, that was a wonderful part in her career too. And when they would do the 6-person tags, I loved that.
Yeah, exactly. That was awesome. I'm glad they got to do that.
Yeah, oh yeah.
I hope Harry goes to the WWE. There's just been a little bit of rumors. I'm not sure if he is or not. Couldn't say even if I knew. But if those two got together in a mixed tag, would be fantastic to see.
I'd love to see that. I'd love it.
Happy seeing him in AEW as well.
Oh, AEW, I got to tell you, I love it. I love it. I've been hooked on AEW since day one. And, my big mark out moment as an adult was when AEW started up and Chris Jericho became their first champion.
Yeah.
And then he started up a little bit of the bubbly. Which,
did you order some?
I didn't get around to it, but I want to try it so bad.
Just because it's from the States, and so it was so expensive to ship here.
I want to try to get some one of these times though, because I can imagine that stuff's got to be good.
Yeah.
Hurry up or he switches it up.
I don't even know if there's any left.
He always switches it up, his gimmick.
Yeah.
I'm waiting for the next gimmick to come, now that he's gonna turn babyface now. The Inner Circle's gonna turn babyface. I'm expecting a new character to kind of come out of him.
Oh yes.
But with AEW, you know, as a brand and just coming into everything, I'll tell you what, and then you guys could tell me as well. But what got me really hooked is just I feel like the pure sport of professional wrestling is back, you know, and it just has this feel of like legitimacy. I don't even know how to describe it. It's like something I've never felt before. Maybe.
Well, it's probably the storytelling that you're noticing as a fan. The boys have more say in their stories and how they're telling them in the ring, and they can improvise them as
And
they
girls.
go. And girls, yes, especially the girls. And you know, it's just it's great to see that aspect is back. Yeah, it's different where it is still a lot of too fast for me.
Mhm.
I'm just well, just because they don't take a break sometimes, like they need to slow down a little bit and let the story. I know it's hard to evolve the story when you don't have a live audience, but they can feed off the wrestlers that are watching. But I think that's what you're seeing though, because it's more interesting. When they bring it their own creativity to the mix, then it's more authentic. So that's what you're seeing there, and you're more connected to their character. Like Vince is awesome. Like he's got such a great thing going, and but you can tell it's scripted, it's canned, it's like they're giving somebody a script and they're memorizing it or whatever, you know, like they can't stray too far away, so they can't have their little input in it. So that's what you're noticing.
Yeah, like AEW just feels so organic, and some of the things they say, like
That's a good word. Organic.
when they really get going, sometimes you know the boys over there when they get going, sometimes they leave me when they say something. Sometimes I just sit there with my jaw dropped. At times I'm like, wow, did they really
And they
say
make
that?
mistakes. They make mistakes, and that's okay because you go to an indie show and people make mistakes. It doesn't matter. It's a great show.
Yeah,
That's what I like about it. It has that indie feel, and I don't mean that
In a negative way.
yeah, in a
Not
negative way. Yeah, just more on the fly a little bit, like with their promos.
Yeah.
I know that MJF doesn't write his stuff out. He just says it, and I love that.
it's amazing how all that stuff can.
Talkers will tell you that just tell me what you want me to say, and then I'll just go to the mic and say it. You know, they don't like prepare it. It just comes out. It's a gift.
They basically just tell them bullet points they want to hit, and they improvise and do the rest.
Yep.
Yeah,
Which
improvising.
I think a lot of that is.
Also, if your angle's garbage, then that will affect your promo as well. So, you know, AEW's got more interesting angles and things to talk about.
Oh yeah, like now with MJF starting his own group, the Pinnacle, to feud with the Inner Circle. I mean, that's going to be
Yes.
possibly the biggest feud of the year starting up right now. And then just with what the ladies did a couple weeks ago with Britt Baker and Thunder Rosa, my God.
Yeah.
It reminded me of, I kid you not, when I did my review podcast on that show. I don't know why, but it struck me as I was sitting there. When Britt Baker had the blood all over her face and she lifted up and she looked in the camera with that smile, it reminded me of Mick Foley sitting inside Hell in a Cell with the smile on his face, the blood all over and the tooth sticking through his nose.
Yeah.
Ooh.
And
You watched Dynamite this week?
I did, yes.
She called out Mick Foley.
It was, you know, and now they're having like a little Twitter back and forth exchange.
I'm like, ooh, is Mick Foley coming to AEW? I hope so.
I hope he does. I
Oh,
really do.
That's the other thing AEW does well is they treat their legends with respect.
Yes.
Not say, you know, like they're not like if they are like when Jake was on the side of the ring, they're giving that they're still held in high regard. They're still, you know, given the respect that's their due. But it, you know, sometimes in WWE they're just they kind of make a joke of them. Push
And
you over and over, or let him sit over there in the corner, and there's no reason why. Like, why is he sitting over there?
just like with what the Big Show was talking about, you know, and what led to him leaving, and when he laid it out and described everything, I'm like, I don't blame him because there's so many of these legends out there that they really do have more to give. And,
that's the thing about wrestling too, is like you always learn from your veterans. Like you would do a show, like when Bronwyn does a show, there's always somebody back there to give her a tip or two, and that's how, training on the fly as well, so you're not going down to a gym, but you're learning right there, and they're going over the match with you when you're traveling back, or you ask them to watch and give you. I know when I'm at the RCW shows, like Bruce is giving people pointers, and Ross Hart's always down there. They're more than willing to, and that's because that's what was modeled for them.
Yeah.
But I don't know if that happens in WWE because it's so, business.
That's what I was just going to say, that it seems, I know sometimes
corporate.
business.
I should say corporate. It's so corporate. Yes.
Yes. It seems too corporate though.
Yeah.
It's good to be serious and take your business seriously. But there comes a time when you just have to lay back a little bit and let things happen. And I feel like
he has to be safe. I think because he has investors, and shareholders that he has to, please, and he's got to be careful too because it's a family show, so that probably ties them up pretty quick. But
like back in the
AEW is a breath of fresh air.
I was gonna say AEW, they don't have shareholders and they're not publicly traded, are they?
No.
I think they're just they're owned by Tony Khan, and they could go out and do whatever it is that they can. And now that I'm thinking,
it's nice that he owns a stadium.
yeah, he does,
especially during COVID.
Yeah.
I'm looking here. We got a couple more chats. JQ James,
4 more minutes.
JQ James here says Natalya truly has a heart of gold, which she does. Definitely.
She does. Want to tell her fans she's as real as what you see is what you get. That woman is amazing.
And I see Amaris Billington. She put in another message here. Let's see what she has. She's saying, Michelle, if you had to choose a tag team partner, who would you choose? Big Swole or Kenny Omega?
Legit question.
I'm going to have to go with Big Swole.
Yeah.
I love Big Swole.
Yeah, I haven't seen her for a while. Is she?
Where
has
are
she been
you?
on Dark?
Actually I think she just made her return. What was it, a week or two ago on Dynamite, I believe? I thought I saw her. But
I don't catch Dark as often.
The reason why she's been off is because she's been having a battle with Crohn's disease, from what I've heard and read in the reports. And
okay, we'll get better, Big Swole.
Yeah, because you guys got a match.
We got a match.
I see right here, Sean. He's asking hello from. I'm sorry if I get the pronunciation wrong. Alberta. Let's see. Yeah, Lloydminster, Alberta. Do you what do you all make of Thunder Rosa and Britt Baker's historic death match?
It was incredible. Yeah, I want to watch it again. Let's put it on right now.
Yeah, we're gonna watch it.
It's my favorite women's match.
They were the main event, and it was bloody, and they did it as well as the men could. So good on them.
And they tore the house down.
I love both of them.
They proved that they can do anything that the men could do, if not better. They really proved it. Yeah. And this is going to be, like how
Baker's improved so much since they first started.
Oh yeah, and like everybody, sorry, I got an itch over here by my eye. But like how everybody was talking about Sasha Banks and Bayley at TakeOver Brooklyn back in 2015, that put WWE's women's evolution on the map. This match with Thunder Rosa and Britt Baker, I feel, was better than the Bayley-Sasha Banks match. Just in my personal opinion, I feel it was better. And I believe this is what really is going to put that stamp and put AEW's women's division on the map.
Yeah.
For sure.
Good match.
I mean, it was incredible. I've never seen anything like it, and I'm so proud. Oh, look at here. We have Lisa. Michelle, I believe Lisa asked you a couple questions before. She says, "Hi everyone. AEW is up my alley. I've watched it since it aired. Great wrestling."
Me too.
Me too,
Sorry.
Lisa. Very excited about it.
I have to turn my alarm off. 1 second.
Okay. What was your both of your favorite AEW shows so far that they had? They had some great ones.
I'm not sure if I have a favorite. Yeah. I can't.
I don't
Yeah.
know. I can't pick
The
one.
last year has been a blur because of COVID, and
Yeah.
I was on maternity leave when COVID first started. I was finishing up my maternity leave. So every
Mhm.
Wednesday, my mom would come over and we would watch Dynamite. So it was something that brought us together and gave us something to look forward to.
I have to say anything with Kenny Omega in it.
Yeah.
And now Kenny Omega, from what rumors I've heard, and it looks like they might be going in that direction. How do you guys feel about Kenny Omega versus Christian Cage?
Yes.
One-on-one.
That's what I'm predicting as well, is those two.
It'd be a great match.
I guess 2 Canadians, right? So
Yeah.
I think it's a Canadian invasion there.
Lisa says you all look nice.
Thank you, Lisa.
Thank you, Lisa.
And JQ James is asking, hey, Michelle, if you had a wrestling company and you were building a women's division, who would be the top 3 women that you would sign instantly?
Of course, Natty. Phoenix.
Phoenix.
Beth Phoenix.
Oh, Beth Phoenix.
Beth Phoenix. And can we throw in an old school?
Yeah, sure.
Scary Sherry.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, you know what? No.
What about Big Swole?
Well, Rhonda Singh, Big Swole. Those are my kind of girls, too. Do you remember Rhonda Singh?
Yes. Yeah.
She was from Calgary here.
How
Nikki Bella, Natalya, and Taya Valkyrie.
Nice. You guys got some good picks.
I heard the Bella girls are coming back.
I hope so.
I heard that too.
I love both Bellas, but Nikki's my favorite.
Maybe they're going to win those women's tag team titles. You never know. And speaking of one more thing, how do you guys feel about the current card for WrestleMania 37? That's a huge talking point right now. Everybody's talking about it because WrestleMania is just 2 weeks away. Actually, it's going to be on Saturday, April 10th, Sunday, April 11th. What are some things that both of you ladies are looking forward to the most for WrestleMania?
Gosh, I haven't been watching very much, to be honest. I busy with the kids and I work full time, and it's hard enough sticking or keeping up to date with one promotion, which is AEW. For WWE, I just hope that they give the women the chance to shine because they deserve it. So I hope that they don't cut any matches. We'll see.
Yeah, well, Edge used to like sleep in my basement when he was starting out, and he was training with Leo Burke at Brett and Julie. They had a ring in their pool room, so they had the big wrestling ring, and then they had the pool and a hot tub. But Edge and Christian rented a small bed in my basement for $10 a night, so I had a bit of a little wrestling hostel going on there. So, it's amazing that Edge is doing his big comeback.
Yes.
And I hope it's not, too soon, or like, I know it's been 5 years, but I hope he's okay. I hope he's physically up for it. I'm sure everyone's going to look after him if he's not, but he's back, and he
deserves that.
A wellness program. So he should be good to go. I just don't want him to get hurt.
Yeah, same here. That's my main concern. Every time I watch Edge perform, I'm just like, please be okay. Whoever's in there, take care of him, because now with his family, Ruby, Lyric, and Beth, his wife, and I just always hope the best for him, and I really want him to win the title. I want to see one more run for him as well. And now he just turned heel. He went back to the Rated R Superstar, that heel gimmick. So it's pretty interesting, actually, with what they're going with.
Oh, well, I wouldn't have changed him heel, but
I see. I said the same thing with this storyline with him doing a comeback
yeah,
to be babyface.
yeah.
Well, they felt it. I think they probably came up with the reason, let's turn him heel, just because the Rated R Superstar gimmick was his most famous. But even though I love that gimmick, I just don't think now is the time.
Well, if they're smart, they would change that gimmick into a babyface gimmick.
Yeah.
So it's just like when Bad News Allen is the meanest thing in Calgary at Stampede Wrestling, one of the best heels, besides Tom. But when he turned babyface, it's such a big pop, right? Everyone can remember when Hogan went bad and then went good. And so maybe it's like that. Maybe they'll just let him turn good.
I hope so. Will both of you be watching on the weekend of April 10th and April 11th? Are you going to be checking out WrestleMania?
Yeah, I have the network, so I'm looking forward to the Hall of Fame. Davey's being inducted this year, so I'm really happy for my cousins and Diana and for Davey. Well deserved, so I'll be watching that for sure. And WrestleMania, I will watch as late as I can stay up. It's a Sunday, and I work Mondays, so it's hard for me to stay up, but yeah, as long as it doesn't go too late.
Over here in the United States, they changed the network over here, where it's not WWE Network anymore, but they moved it over to a Peacock streaming service. I guess it's NBC's streaming service. So I got a little bit of a new thing for the network up here, but it's been all good so far. And Sean right here sends his congratulations to Davey.
Yes.
Yes, well deserved.
I'm excited to see that. Michelle, what was it, 2 years ago, I believe, when we first talked, I even said, when is Davey going in? He deserves to be in, and here we go. He's going in now.
Now, next, we just need the Bulldogs to go in.
Yes. Well, are there any final things that either of you would like to say before I wrap it up here? Like, is there anything as far as events or social media or anything that any of you would like to promote? Anything that you want? Floor is yours.
Just would like to say thank you for having us. It's something nice to look forward to during COVID and, of course, social distancing, not being able to live normal day-to-day life. So this was exciting to do. Thank you so much. And congratulations on your 300th episode. And
thank you so much. I appreciate it. And I can't tell you how much it means to me to have both of you on here and celebrate this tremendous episode with me. And actually the first time that both of you are on air together, right, on a podcast.
Together.
Yep. Hey, so Todd, thank you for having Bronwyne on with me. And it's such a great thing to be on here as your 300th guest. It's amazing. If anybody wants one of these Dynamite doll pictures, she does sell them. So
yeah, you can follow me on Instagram at Bronwyne Jewel. That's probably the best. I am on Twitter, but I'm not on there a ton. It's at Dynamite Doll 84.
At Dynamite Doll 84.
Yeah.
Okay. And we also did the Dark Side of the Ring. So
yes.
Yeah.
Stay tuned for that coming up.
Stay tuned for that, and be kind, okay, everybody? Like COVID has taught us one big lesson, is that we were living too fast, okay?
Yeah.
So time is of the essence. Take the time, nurture those relationships, because really that's what's most important. Friends, family.
It really is. And it's amazing, really. Michelle, you couldn't have said it better. I mean, it's changed, it's changed me. like I said, I would always try, to be the best me I could be,
But
I'll
it's
tell you.
online that I'm concerned about people being so negative. Even in some of the wrestling forums, somebody should be able to say, Kenny Omega sucked during that match, blah blah blah. And then his fans shouldn't start attacking that person for having that opinion. I mean, it's just, come on. Let's be tolerant and kind, okay? People.
I know exactly.
Not that our fans are like that, but I'm just saying, to promote kindness.
But I know, Michelle, exactly what you speak of. Believe me, on my years over here, just giving, my personal opinion on products, the wrestling products itself. You wouldn't imagine the people out there. There's some people that actually do hate me just because of my opinion.
Right.
I know, it's terrible.
I mean, it exists.
Kind. And the dark side, the things that are revealed on there is meant to learn from. Not, I don't want you to hate Tom. I want you to love him and admire, like, the great wrestler he is, the best in the world. And so many have said that. So you can honor him by abiding by that. And if you're talking about the things that went wrong with him, like, we're pretty sure he had CTE in the end. It's some brain damage. There's a lot of wrestlers out there, some of them beaking off about other people, and I think they are a little brain damaged, some of them. But just remember that he had an illness.
Absolutely.
I just really wanted to raise awareness about domestic violence, signs of depression. So when you're watching it, that's the message. Okay?
We got it. And we got a few messages here from people as we're about ready to head out. Sean is congratulating Davey on his Hall of Fame induction.
Thank you.
Lisa says, take care.
Take care. Thank you.
Bye,
Stay
Lisa.
safe.
JQ James says, thank you, ladies, and God bless. Sean came in and said, as someone in Alberta, thank you for all your contributions to the rich history of Alberta wrestling.
Thank you.
And Mr. Jeff said, love you guys.
Love you.
So thank you, everybody, for tuning on in. And Michelle, you know how it works. You both could stay right there as I sign off. But I really do hope, now that we got to do this, that both of you could come back again sometime. It was really fun. I enjoyed myself. This is the part of my podcast that I love the most, even though everything that I do, talking about certain shows and things like that, yeah, it's fun to engage with the audience, but this right here is what my favorite part of it is, to be able to sit down with the guest, talk, just tell some good stories. This is what it's all about right here.
Thank you so much. You take care, Big T, and I'll mail you off that promo pic.
Thank you very much, Bronwyne.
Thanks, Big T. Love you. We'll be talking to you soon, okay?
Thank you, Michelle. We all love you too over here, and I can't say thank you enough, really.
Stay safe.
I will. And everybody here, you guys as well, make sure you stay safe and healthy. And a big thank you to Michelle Billington and the Dynamite Doll, Bronwyne Billington. Thank you guys so much.
Thank you.
And
We'll talk to you soon.
everybody here, of course, I will see you next time. And yes, there will be a next time for me right here on Beyond the Ring with Big T. That'll be sometime next week when we pick up regular content again. It'll be probably with Monday Night Raw stuff. So, but don't forget us, and we won't forget you. And if you want the best for all of your professional wrestling needs, always remember to think Beyond the Ring with Big T. And of course, everybody, I'm your host, Big T, and I will see all of you at the matches. So take care, stay safe, stay healthy. I love you all out there. Thank you so much for tuning into this very special and historic episode number 300 of the Beyond the Ring with Big T Wrestling podcast with special guest Michelle Billington and the Dynamite Doll. So thank you, ladies, once again. I appreciate it, and I look forward, and I know my fans look forward to having both of you back on sometime soon. And everybody here, you take care. I love you all. We'll talk to you very soon. See you guys later. Good night, everybody.